Hi guys, welcome to my channel. After a long time, because I've been dead here. Anyways, um, you know what, like when you watch something and afterwards you just like sit there and you just like sitting in silence and being like, wow, what the fuck? Well, that's how I felt after I finished watching Hamnet. Like, I was sick 2 days ago, and it's like a thing I had since I was a child, that I used to just like binge watch anything on the television, and I was having a sick past. So that's what I did, even like an adult. I think I'm the same now. So I was like binge watching things and wanting to binge watch, and I had Hamnet sitting in my notes folder for a really long time, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna watch Hamnet. And I thought like it's gonna be another historical thing about like Shakespeare, which I really love and adore, and his family. But the thing is, it's not about him at all. Like, it's about grief, it's about mothers, it's about this quiet spaces inside a family where love and loss have equal space to exist. And honestly, it stayed with me in a way I did not expect. That's crazy. So initially I picked up, like, I was intrigued to watch Hamnet because a lot of people have been talking about it, and like I was kind of like suspicious about, like, I want to know. I want to know what it is. And the thing is, the story is not dramatic at all. Not that in a loud, emotional way, but it's like, it's very human. It's very quiet, and it has that kind of sadness that grows on you, or that creeps up on you like slowly. And as a poet, I love that, and I guess we all love that. And if you don't know, let me talk a bit about Hamnet. It's inspired by the real son of William Shakespeare, who died when he was 11. And what I loved most about Hamlet was it does not focus on Shakespeare at all. It focuses on his wife, Agnes. And honestly, that choice to like have the movie with that perspective, it really changes everything, because history always tells stories about these famous men and their perspective. With all due respect, I love them, but this story in Hamnet, it asks about, like, what about the women who lose their children? What about the woman who lost her child? What about the mother? What does she face? And I love that perspective so fucking much. And talking about Agnes, it's such an interesting character to watch. She's like intuitive, she's mythical, she's mystical, and she understands plants and healing and the natural world. And people in the village see her as a little strange thing, which honestly feels very real to me, because historically women who have deep intuitions or deep intuitive knowledge about anything, especially about nature, were always labeled as odd, witchy. And but the way the story shows her love for her children is like so tender, it's so quiet, it's so instinctive. It's the kind of love you don't need words for, or even I wouldn't have the words to even like explain that to you. And when the grief enters the story, actually it does not arrive as like this big dramatic moment, which is like there, and it's it changes the course of the story. It was not like that. It arrives the way grief actually does. Like messy, slow, and I would say unfair. Because the one thing I noticed is that everyone processes grief differently. Some people collapse into it, and some people avoid it, and some people keep moving because, like, stopping would mean feeling everything. And that felt very, very, very real to me, because grief inside families is rarely shared equally. You know what I mean? Like, everyone carries it in their own way. And what really stuck with me about Hamnet is how quiet the storytelling is. There aren't any, like big speeches about like loss. There aren't any dramatic monologues explaining feelings. Instead, the story shows grief through small moments, silences, the absence. The way a house feels different after someone is gone. And I think that's why it hits so fucking hard, because I feel things deeply, and the storytelling, the way it's shot, it's like it hits hard because real grief is like that. It's not loud, it's just like everywhere. And then there's like this interesting layer with Hamlet, because the names Hamnet and Hamlet were actually very interchangeable at that time, which means that Shakespeare writing Hamlet later in his life feels almost haunting, I would say. Like, art becomes a place where grief lives on. And that made me think about something. Maybe a lot of like the greatest art in the world is just people trying to process loss and grief. Like the poetry, plays, music. Maybe it's all just people trying to make sense of pain. What stayed with me the most wasn't just the sadness, it was the tenderness of the movie, the way the story treats grief, almost like something sacred, like something that changes you but doesn't destroy you necessarily. And I kept thinking about like how stories like this remind us that history isn't just kings and famous writers, it's also mothers, children, homes, love, loss, all the quiet lives that never make it into textbooks. And I think that what Hamnet did for me was remind me that stories just doesn't have to be like they don't have to be powerful. They don't have to be loud in order to be powerful. Yeah. Sometimes the quiet ones are ones that stay with you the longest, and ones that haunt you in the most soft way possible. And honestly, it made me want to go back and read Hamlet again, because I did that as a child. And this time thinking about the grief that might be behind it. And not just the play, but I could see the father who wrote it. But if you've ever read or experienced Hamnet, I'd love to know what you thought. Did it hit you the same way? Or was there any other book or film that left you sitting like quietly afterwards, after you watched it? I don't know. Tell me in the comments. I would genuinely love to know. But see you in the next one. Bye.